Hey, Matt from ll-lll Roads here. We're gonna go try to check out an ancestral dwelling. So, let's do it. Hi everyone, my name is Matt Relkin, but I'm better known as ll-lll Roads on Instagram. I've spent the last 2 decades seeking out and documenting indigenous cultural sites, mostly focusing on rock imagery. My main goal for sharing these videos is to help educate and spread awareness of proper etiquette when visiting these sacred places. But I also just want to share the wonder and beauty of these irreplaceable national treasures. I'm no expert, nor am I a spokesman for Indigenous cultures. I'm just a dude who's become obsessed with rock imagery, and I'd like to share my adventures finding these sites with all of you. So please join me on this journey into a world of history, mystery, and wonder. This is ll-lll Roads. There's not really a trail. Well, I guess there kind of is. It's more a wash. So I'm just following that so that I can avoid the cryptobiotic soil. We're going out to basically the edge of the canyon just to scope it out, see if maybe we can see the structure from across the way. And then hopefully I can find a route down and a route to the structure itself. I'm sure if I did better research, I could probably find an actual trail report or a route report for this, but for some reason I don't do that very often. I kind of wing it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it feels like more of an accomplishment when I find something if I don't have, you know, all the data, all the coordinates, everything ahead of time. I do want to feel like I'm achieving something for myself rather than just following a point and boom, there it is, you know. And I want to get better at this kind of stuff, so the more I have to depend on my own knowledge and route finding, the better. Got a lot of crypto down here, so we're gonna find a route. Okay, we got a wash here. It's early in the morning. I mean, it's 8 o'clock. I guess that's not early at this point, but it's not boiling hot yet. And then once you get in the shade, it makes hell of a difference. Okay. I already see some overhangs off in the distance. This actually looks like a route down into the canyon, so I think we're doing good. Thought I was going to have to kind of walk along the rim for a while, but this is pretty nice. You can see this slick rock. It's just the natural water route that goes down into the canyon. All right, still getting down. We're Mostly at the bottom. Okay, we're in the main wash, and apparently the site is just kind of off of this wash. I see some rocks kind of outcropping, poking up right there. We'll go towards that and just kind of follow it. Oh. There it is. In this particular area of Utah, you can find ancient structures within the canyons that are attributed to the Ancestral Puebloan people, mainly from the Pueblo 1 through 3 periods, dating from 750 to 1300 CE. The structures from Pueblo 1 and 2 are more easily accessible, so this ancestral dwelling is likely from that time period, meaning it could be up to 1250 years old. So this structure here is 2 stories, where this wood is sticking out one of these beams. That would have been the top of the first floor, and then the second floor up there. This would have been a habitation site. It's big enough that people were living in here. Look, you still have the wood lintels in the doorway. Here we have a fantastic example of an interior roof. This first part, which is a primary support beam, is called a viga. These beams are built directly into the walls to ensure structural integrity. You can see this viga broke here, but the ends have stayed secured in the walls. Without the support of the vigas, the roof has begun to sag and will eventually collapse. The next layer are these branches that rest across the vigas. These are called latillas, and they create a framing for the next layer of roofing. This final interior layer is made of small sticks laid crosswise on the latillas. These are called thatch. They're often covered with mud and stones on the exterior roof surface. When we zoom in, we can see there's still bindings that were used to fasten the wood together. These were most often made with fibers from yucca plants. There's still a roof, but it's collapsing. It looks like someone's braced that beam, which is, someone did that in modern times. But other than that, I don't think there's been any real preservation of this site. Another doorway. This one's kind of mudded around. That might have been so that they could seal it. When it has these smooth rounded sides, there might have been a stone that perfectly fit there. And then they could mud around that stone and seal that room. Sometimes rooms get sealed when there's a burial in there or something, or just when they're not, when they're abandoning the place. Although I don't like to use the word abandoned because, again, we don't know if they truly abandoned these places or if they were planning on coming back. Looks like that roof is collapsing as well. It's been braced. You can see the beams. And then the smaller sticks, and then on top of that would be mud. I might be able to get a shot over the top. Yeah. And people would be up here, standing on this roof for the second floor. And if you don't think wood can last 500 years in this environment, you're wrong. It's the desert. There's not a bunch of rot happening. Looking at this wall, you can see some of the construction method. It's brick and mortar. So, you know, they find good stones and then they mortar around it with, that's basically just mud, or essentially, you know, it hardens like clay. These smaller stones in between the larger bricks are called chinking, and they're meant to fill in gaps that are too large for mud or mortar. And the reason this can last is because it's under an overhang. Almost all these sites are under overhangs or in caves that protects them from the elements, and in that way, you know, they're not waterproof, so they have to be protected somehow. Then looking over here, this is just all debris collapsed. You can actually see some stacked rocks that fell over. See how that's a line of rocks? That's bricks. They would have been stacked up a wall, you know, right here, probably for the front of this structure. They just collapse like that, and it's just a wall of brick that just falls down. There's more. All this wood here was probably part of this structure. I guess it's also important to mention, I don't enter these sites. If it's an enclosed room like this, whether it has a roof or not, if you have to crawl through an opening, don't do it. It could take just the smallest bump. Your shoulder could hit here, your pack could hit the top, and this whole thing could come tumbling down. So 600 years, this thing has lasted, and then somebody comes here and they want to stick their head in and climb inside, and they bump it and destroy that, all that history. 600 years gone. You don't need to go in there. Just look, you know. You can stick a camera in like that, look around, but don't go into these enclosed structures. It's not worth it. It's not worth damaging them. Piece of corrugated pottery. Corrugated, it's made with a coil, and then it usually has some sort of pattern on it that they rub in with their finger. Sometimes it's patterned. There's a big piece here. Probably a rim to a large jar or something like that. There's some painted pottery. Someone probably gathered this and put it here. That's fine, it's tucked away a little bit. But a lot of the times people will gather pieces and kind of put them on display like this. I mean, all that does is promote theft. You're just laying, it's almost like a, here, come pick what you like and take it with you. You shouldn't take anything from these sites. All this belongs here. It's part of the site. And also, if you take it, the next person coming along doesn't get to see it. You're diminishing the experience for others. And what do you need? Pieces of pottery gathering dust on your shelf? That's just stupid. None of this belongs to us. It should live out here and it should die out here. Okay, we're gonna walk this area a little more. There's more structures. This might have been a granary because it's small. It could have curved around and met the wall, had a roof. This right here would have been part of the entranceway. You can see that flat stone that's like a sill. And this stone right here would have been a side to the entranceway. And then it just probably curved around and touched the wall. Another little intact entranceway. It's open on the top. Still got the wood. I love seeing this. They kind of mudded the edges. You know, they shaped the room. Again, that way it's a lot easier to seal it off rather than if it has these uneven brick edges. If you kind of shape it, then you can put a stone up against it, mud around that stone, and you've got that sealed in, and that can store your food and keep it from rodents and bugs. Some more wood here, a bunch of rocks. I'm guessing there was probably a bunch of structures up there. I can see some remnants of bricks stacked. This would have been a rather large site. I don't see any rock imagery yet, but I haven't really been looking. It's tough because there's so much going on at these places, and I have to kind of set my brain. All right, I'm looking at the structure. I'm looking at the ground for artifacts. I'm looking at the walls. I mean, it's almost like you got to shift gears. I can't take it all in at once. Maybe some people can, but it's too difficult. It's like people that look for arrowheads. I can look for arrowheads, but I have to focus on looking for arrowheads. I can't walk around, look at rock imagery, and just happen to find arrowheads as well. It's too hard for my brain to multitask like that. Also, I think I just get so hyper-focused on what's in front of me. But it is nice to sit in these sites quietly and just kind of take them in. This is probably the most talking I've ever done at one of these sites. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it. But eventually I'll turn the camera off and just kind of sit here and be with the site and experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced, which is exactly how it would be if I wasn't here. I'm just quiet and still. The wind is here, you know, maybe some birds will fly by, maybe a lizard will scurry past, but the whole idea is to not interrupt what's happening here. One other thing to remember when you're walking through these places, be careful. Look at all this. I mean, you don't want to be breaking all this wood, and just be hyper aware of your steps, of where you're stepping. Don't touch the walls. To balance yourself, just don't touch anything as far as structures go, and be, you know, hyper aware of your steps. You don't want to crush something. You don't want to step on some artifact that if you saw it first, you could actually check it out and have a really profound experience. So it's just being hyper aware. And I guess spending more time at this site, now I've noticed these interesting dark bricks placed around here. That's cool. Also, you can see holes that probably had more wood coming out, more beams. There might have been, honestly, there could have been another third floor up on this. Who knows? It's a tall structure already. Impressive. It's windy out here. I mean, this thing has stood the test of time. You know, you can see where the mortar is kind of eroded away in certain places, but it's still looking good. It could be here another 500 years if it's treated, you know, with respect. But in the end, it's all going to turn to dust, and that's okay. One of my favorite details about visiting these places, things like this, the finger marks where they rubbed the mud into place. There's little traces of the people who were here all over these sites. You just have to kind of sit with them and really look at the details. Then more things start to appear to you. Sometimes you'll see a baby's print. Sometimes you'll see little designs. Sometimes you'll find big pieces of pottery. These details, like these tiny stones that were pushed into the mortar, you could see where some of them fell out, so it's not like they were mixed in with it ahead of time. Little details. All right, I was hiking along this ridge line, or this cliff line, and look at this. Looks like, I don't know, we gotta get closer to it, but I do not think that's natural. First I thought it was a bunch of pictographs. No, that's not natural. I mean, it looks to me like they were throwing balls of pigment. It's all the way up there. I mean, look at that. There's hundreds of them. And this is a very prominent wall. It's not natural. There's just no way. There's not going to be all of a sudden a wall with white and red polka dots on it. It doesn't work that way. Maybe it was a game. This could have been like, I don't know, some kind of game court. Because, I mean, there are just hundreds of splotches on this wall. And no one's out here using paintball guns, so let's just move past that. Ow. And especially here, you can see all the white. Yeah, I wonder. You would also think that there'd be, I don't know, I guess they're kind of dripping down, so it could be mud balls, and there's white and red. Yeah, you can see there's actually some dried mud left that was thrown up against her and hasn't fallen off yet. Those are probably the ones that make the white. Oh man, I'm bushed. Just taking a rest in this little patch of shade for a minute. It's hot. I wonder if I sound like I complain way too much. I'm always thinking it. It's just walking with a camera now, I guess I have to verbalize it as well. But, you know, there's no reward without struggle. And most of these places aren't super easy to get to. I mean, I love a good drive-up site, but one of the main reasons that a lot of these spots still exist is that you have to exert effort to get to them. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And that's a good thing, because that means less people visit these places. And I'm not against that. Obviously, I'm making videos that share these places. I think, you know, I can't imagine going through life and not seeing stuff like this. I mean, I guess everybody's different. Everyone cares about different things. But this is my life before doing this. It felt pretty meaningless, honestly. And walking around to document these sites and learn about ancient history and indigenous history, it's made me feel like I have more of a place in this world. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know where I fit in now. I feel at home out here when I never really felt like anywhere was home. That's why I want to be here all the time. Even when I'm not here, I want to be here all the time. But I can't, because that's not how the world works. You need to work and make money, and you just need to do stuff that creates an income for you to survive. And if you have kids and a significant other, you know, you have to support them as well. I don't know, I guess I'm just rambling. I just get a lot of thoughts when I'm out here, and it always comes back to, I feel like I belong out here, and I'm my most happiest when I'm out here. And it's a little, it feels a little vulnerable sharing this part of my life with the general public as compared to just posting photos with a caption or a short 90-second video. So this is weird. I still don't know how I feel about it, but we'll keep doing it and see how it goes. Hallelujah. Okay, that was a doozy. Fun times, good stuff. Thanks so much for joining me on this excursion. I'm going to go into town and maybe take a shower, maybe eat some hot food not cooked by me. been a good day. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.